My 18F best friend, 18F, just confessed that she's in love with me. First time posting on Reddit, so bear with me skeptical. My 18F best friend, also 18F, just confessed that she's in love with me. This came as no surprise. We've known each other since we were little kids, and lately, she's been dropping a lot of hints that she's interested in me romantically. This summer she broke up with her boyfriend, in name only. They never went on dates and only really called each other partners at school, and has been telling me that she's been in love with a girl. It's been heavily implied that this girl is me, but I defaulted to my usual practice of ignoring the situation, pretending to be oblivious, and letting the person with a crush on me make the first move. Well, this week she made the first move. I live pretty far away from her because we go to different schools, but she sent me a really lovely letter confessing her love. In the letter were all sorts of cute mementos and pictures, and even a song playlist of romantic oldies. She's a really sweet person, is kind to absolutely everyone, and I really like the idea of being in a relationship with her. The distance wouldn't be a problem because I'm planning on transferring to a school closer to home next semester. Her letter told me to take my time responding and that she'd continue to be my best friend no matter what my response was. It all sounds like a dream come true. Except for 3 big problems. 1. I've had very little experience when it comes to relationships, and I'm really not sure what my sexuality is. All I know for relatively sure is that I'm not interested in boys, and that I had a maybe crush on a heterosexual female friend of mine who I'm no longer in contact with. The girl who just confessed to me has been my best friend for more than a decade, and I don't want to hurt her or think of her as an experiment. 2. My mental health is trash. I've been in worse slumps, but I'm seriously struggling to function in my day-to-day life. This is the main reason why I'm moving back closer to home. I'm confused about my feelings for my best friend is because I haven't been feeling a lot of things in general lately. Everything has just been May. She's amazingly supportive of this, but it's not something she should have to deal with in a relationship. 3. My family is homophobic. I love them so much, and they're one of the few things that still make me happy, but we live in a very conservative area and they would not be happy if I started dating a girl. I need to be on the best terms I can be with my family because I'm moving back. I don't know how long I could hide that I'm in a relationship with my friend, and I don't think it's fair to her to have to hide it. Should I try things out with her? Since she's so supportive, we could probably test things out, and if it causes problems we go back to being just friends. Or should I tell her to wait until my situation gets better? Either way, how do I respond without hurting her? Too long didn't read. My 18F childhood best friend, 18F, just confessed her feelings to me, and I'd love to try and be in a relationship with her, but my mental health is a dumpster fire and my family is homophobic. Talk to her and let her know about your mental health. Be honest and let her know your concerns. I really hope your family can move past their biases. I hope they can too. It physically hurts me when they tell my younger siblings, who I'm very close to, homophobic things. Honestly, I think the best thing to do is explain exactly what you wrote here to her. I'm sure she will appreciate the honesty, and that way, she can also take those facts into consideration. Maybe knowing these things, she will decide you guys are better as friends since it's not worth risking your lifelong friendship. Or maybe she would still like to see where things could go. This is going on the assumption that you do want to try a relationship with her, which is what I'm getting from your post. But either way, as long as you're game, it's up to her to decide if she's okay with the circumstances or not. Don't decide for her and potentially miss out on something special. Good luck, wishing you too well. Avoiding love out of fear is one of the great regrets. Always follow love. Always. It all sounds like a dream come true. Except for 3 big problems. If it all sounds like a dream come true, then those 3 problems are not reasons to not do it. They're hurdles. Tough hurdles, but just hurdles. Be true to yourself and follow happiness. I'm sorry your situation makes this harder. Good luck 333! Exclamation mark. Thank you for being so sweet. Your comment definitely improved my outlook on my life in the future. Especially since lately I've just been trying to work through the present. It makes me feel better to think that if I can get over these hurdles, then things can be better on the other side. My 23F divorced older sister, 27F, is having a relationship with my husband's 25 meters younger brother, 17 meters. Too long didn't read. Title: I'm the only one who thinks it's super messed up and it's driving me crazy. First off, the age of consent in the UK is 16. As far as the law is concerned, I understand full well that there is nothing illegal about the relationship, but that doesn't make this any less messed up. The individuals involved in this event are: Zain, 25, is my husband. We live in Zain's parents' house here in the UK. We got married in November 2019 and the past few months have been the happiest period of my life. His family are second-generation migrants with roots in Southeast Asia, whereas Alice and I are recent migrants from the same country. Alice, 27, is my older sister. Previously married to her high school sweetheart, but divorced when she was 24, just a few weeks short of their wedding anniversary. No children. Prior to the event, Alice had been on her overseas final year of her double master's program, which has since been extended due to the virus. My relationship with Alice has had ups and downs. She was the problem kid of the family when she was younger, well into her mid-20s, which in part caused her marriage to fall apart. She has matured a lot since and we get along fine as sisters. Aiden, 17, is Zain's brother and was a year 13 student of the local boarding school who occasionally came back home at the weekends. We are both the last child in our respective family and we get on really fine. I had always wanted a little brother as a little girl and he seems fine with me considering him as my own. Zain's parents, late 40s, are long-term friends turned close business partners with mine, mid-50s. They relocated back to our home country some years ago where my parents live and where their businesses are doing well. I'll try my best to write on the event chronologically, but I apologize in advance if the timeline is a bit off. In January, just after our honeymoon period, Zain's parents and I agreed to invite Alice to live with us to save money on living expenses. We live rent-free in this house and family matters a lot to me, so this was the least that we could do. Alice has been nothing short of a wonderful roommate since and helps around the house a lot despite her academic workload, and living together enabled us to have a good relationship as sisters that we never really had when we were younger. In March, students were sent back home due to the virus and most educational institutions including Aiden's school and Alice's uni resumed learning by video conference. Alice opted to stay in the country for what I think are good reasons but are largely irrelevant to the story. The four of us started living together from then on. I never really paid attention to Aiden and Alice on the weekends prior, but it surprised me that they acted pretty comfortable around each other like they had been long-term friends. Since Aiden was aiming for maths and finance, and they're both geniuses, I just thought that they shared a lot of common interests to bond over. Zain and I started to work from home around the same time and I actually ended up working longer hours that month than before the virus. Four of us were able to work out how we should share the tasks in the house, and at that moment I was pretty grateful that Aiden and Alice were pretty keen to take up more responsibilities as Zain chose to take care of our car's maintenance, garden, and general electrical works. By mid-April my workload had dropped significantly and I was working half my usual hours. I was now able to take care of the house, but Aiden and Alice told me that they could go on just fine and I should just take a break instead, especially since both their exams were called off and they were no longer under the pressure to study as hard as before. Nevertheless, I insisted that we share and they both chose the kitchen and parts of the general cleaning and I took over my and Zain's laundry and also general cleaning. This dynamic went on for quite a while. In retrospect, there were little red flags in this period that I failed to notice. The banter between them sounded a little flirtatious. They took a long time in the kitchen together just to prepare pasta, they took unusually long time to shop for groceries, and probably the major one I feel dumb for failing to notice is Aiden started to make his uni plans around Alice's. I didn't kick up a fuss about them since I thought that would make me sound like an ungrateful BTCH. Fast forward to August when Aiden's grades were announced. For Aiden, Due to the uncertainty surrounding the grading system and the fact that his international baccalaureate friends had received significantly lower grades than they had expected, it had been a pretty stressful period. However, it came as no surprise to me that he got exceptionally high grades that would have gotten him into his dream uni. His results were delivered by email. In the morning, Alice and Aiden were together in anxious anticipation in the back garden. I joined them just before they opened the mail, but Aiden seemed too anxious to notice me. His first reaction after he had seen his results was to hug Alice very tightly, and then he planted a kiss on her lips. Alice noticed my presence mid-kiss and pushed him away and explained, like just about everyone caught in flagranti, that it wasn't what it looked like. I congratulated the confused Aiden on the results but afterwards I practically ran back to my room. I'm not sure how to describe my feelings back then, but I was pretty upset and feeling guilty knowing I was partially responsible for them growing this close. I think being caught drove them to come clean to Zane and me. At lunch break we sat down together and they confessed that they were in love with each other, and at the time they had been official for 3 months, and that they were hiding it from us since they were worried it would make us upset. I had expected Zane to take issue with his brother being in a relationship with a much older woman, but he just joked whether he should call Alice big sister-in-law or little sister-in-law in our native language. It was too much for me to take in, so all I could do was just nod and smile in silence and return to my work. That night I had problems sleeping and I stayed up way past my bedtime. My bedroom has an ensuite bathroom and water jug, so Zane and I rarely need to go out of the bedroom in the early hours. That night I felt like I needed a cold drink to calm my nerves. Just as I was descending the staircase I saw Aiden coming out of Alice's room, and I'm sure he saw me as well and ran off to his room. I clocked right away that my sister was having sex with someone who's practically a child. I immediately called my mum to tell her what my sister had been up to. It was 2 AM in the UK, but due to the time zone difference it was already late morning there. Again, expecting that they will find this relationship abnormal as I do. Mum had me on loudspeaker for Dad to join in, but just like Zane, my parents didn't find anything wrong with it, and in fact Dad was already excited about getting his daughter marry his friend's son. Next morning Zane and Aiden's parents hear about it as well, and Zane showed me his family group chat to me that they shared my parents' excitement. Zane and I rarely prolong any argument about anything, but we had our most intense argument on this topic. Zane thinks Aiden is very smart and mature for his age, and he trusts his judgment to make adult decisions. I think Aiden is better off with a girl his age, and he's still practically a child. The ages being a complete reverse of the usual gender dynamics doesn't make it any less creepy. Zane thinks I underestimate Aiden intelligence and ended the argument saying he appreciates me looking out for his little brother, but at the end of the day if Aiden is happy with it we shouldn't get in the way, but I think it hardly resolves anything. Afterwards I noticed that Aiden and Alice started to maintain some sort of distance between each other in my presence, and they started to avoid me as well. Tried my best to keep acting like nothing weird had ever happened, but I'm pretty sure I failed miserably. Aiden apologized to me once but didn't make it clear what it was that he apologized for. Not that I think he needed to. I was beginning to think that maybe I'm actually the one in the wrong. Alice left for her own flat 2 weeks after that event. Aiden left home earlier this month for uni as well. What I didn't know beforehand is Aiden refused the offer from his first choice uni for another admittedly great uni close to Alice's, and they seem to plan to live together. I just don't know what to even think of anymore. This is just wrong on so many levels, and the fact everyone seems to be fine with it and that this wouldn't have been possible if it weren't for me really mess up with my head. Please just tell me I'm not the crazy one here. Maybe, but there's nothing you can do about the situation. Putting your energy into stressing about it isn't healthy. Working out what the correct honorific in Bengali has been fun. No idea where in SE Asia you're from. Yeah, it's kinda messed up. Your husband's brother is not even an adult yet and he's with your 27-year-old sister. But then again, you can't really do anything about it. Your husband supports them, both their parents support them, and Aiden's moving out of the house. The only thing you can do is get your husband on your side and talk to his younger brother and tell him that what he is doing is messed up. Even though me may think he is mature enough, there is a huge difference between their teens until their mid-20s. But, if he doesn't go on your side, honestly, if you have a happy marriage, just forget about it. You can't do anything really, as everyone around him is supportive and actually enabling him to continue this relationship. I think she shouldn't try to get her husband on her side because he has already stated his thoughts, and by creating sides you're also creating rifts between people. She doesn't need to create those as well in her marriage. In truth, you have already done all you could, and you have noticed the consequences as well, them distancing from you. I would advise you, if you wish to still have relationships with them, to accept it, and whenever, or if ever, a situation occurs that you exactly feared, they break up, all you can do then is to just be there for both. However, it wouldn't be an issue to discuss with your husband that, even though you wish they succeed as a pair, the possible consequences that can occur if they fail, which, in worst case, both of you siding with your own sibling. So be prepared for that as well. I personally think it's disturbing. As you said, it's not illegal, but it is gross. If the roles were reversed, it would still be gross. Unfortunately, there isn't much/anything you can do about it. If your sister is hooking up with a teenager, I really don't think she has matured at all. There's nothing you can really do here. But man, I'd lose a lot of respect for my sister in this scenario. Aiden is going to outgrow her eventually, and it's going to be painful for your family when that happens. Your sister has made that quite certain. My best friend, F34, is furious with me, M27, but I don't think it's for the right reasons. First, here is some necessary background information. My best friend, let's call her B, lost her daughter back in November of 2018. B's daughter died due to abuse and neglect from B's best friend, ex-best friend now, of. CPS has been working on her case ever since. And because of that loss, B has been understandably clingy with her remaining 3 boys. I met her the following February through work. We worked together for about a year. During that time, we found out we have a lot in common. I'm gay, so I have no interest in dating her, and she feels the same towards me. But we became the best of friends. I even saved her life twice. Long stories there, on top of helping her in any way I can. She has been appreciative of all of it, truly. And when she lost her job, due to distance, I supported her as much as possible until she got a new one. Right before everything shut down earlier this year, B called to say she had an interview at a Waffle House and needed a ride. I was busy at work, so I called her a lift. Her sister, in the meantime, was supposed to watch her kids while they went to church. I get a call from a hysterical B saying that CPS is taking her kids away. The new agent that was assigned to her case stopped by randomly to find that her boys were alone. I'm telling you all of this so that you all can understand that she is not a bad mother. In fact, she is a very loving, wonderful mother who is struggling through a dark, terrible time. But her boys were taken away nonetheless. The relevance will become clear shortly. Now let's fast forward to yesterday. I had left my job a few weeks prior and was working for Lyft in the meantime. I had overslept, majorly, and missed picking her up for her bi-weekly meeting with her boys. She called an hour and a half after the meeting was supposed to start. Yo, ask WTF I was doing. I freak out, because I felt so bad, and asked, in an upset tone, why she was only just now calling. She said that she had been texting me, but she knows that my phone, for some reason, sometimes doesn't receive text messages until I unlock it. And that was the case this time. I asked again why she didn't call earlier, but she simply hung up on me. The next thing I know, she is texting me about how it's all my fault for blowing her off. When I tried to explain that I overslept, she accused me of lying. She thinks that I was out having fun with a mutual friend of ours. I presented all the evidence I could to prove the contrary, but she was listening to it. She said that I should just go kill myself and then blocked me. Now, I know I messed up, but I love her family, and up until recently, they loved me. Her boys even call me uncle. I even brought her to previous meetings. But this one time I mess up, she's done with me. I don't know what to do or even think about this. TL, doctor, I messed up by failing to bring my best friend to see her boys. While it was an innocent mistake, she doesn't believe that. She thinks I blew her off and hates me now, because of it. Edit, to try and answer some commenters' questions about how did her daughter die and why her boys were left alone. Back in 2018, her boyfriend at the time had stolen her bank cards and vehicle. Thus, she wasn't able to get to the job she had and eventually got evicted from her apartment. She wound up moving in with a friend of hers, but that friend said she didn't have room for B and her 4 kids, since she had 3 kids of her own and a BF. So, her mother begrudgingly accepted to take care of the kids but not B. But then her, now ex, best friend wanted to take in her daughter. B agreed, but wound up having all contact cut off from her best friend and daughter. She wasn't able to get to her daughter until it was too late. Now please understand that I am leaving out a lot of details, because I honestly don't want to be writing a whole book for this post, and that's what it would take to encompass the whole scope of the situation. As far as her boys being left alone, her sister had already taken them to church. Perhaps I didn't make that clear. But instead of watching them after getting back home until B got back from her interview, B's sister simply dropped them off and left. They were 10, 9, and 3 years old. Dude, just no. Yeah, you screwed up, I'll give you that, but she could have called, I know I would, or she could have gotten a different lift, or taken the bus, or, you know, anything besides wait for almost 2 hours. She already sounds sketchy as hell, but reading your Reddit just makes her seem even worse. I bet she has given you some sort of long convoluted story where none of what happened is her fault. But there are millions of poor people out there, and they don't just randomly get their kids killed and others taken away. She seems like a train wreck, and you, and probably the kids as well, are better off without her. This is a very sad story, but you've only known this woman for 7 months and she's already your best friend, and you've saved her life twice and she relies on you to get her to appointments. It seems she's living a chaotic lifestyle for whatever reason. Perhaps she genuinely made childcare arrangements and was lied to, or she lied and left her children alone for CPS to find them. In any case, I think your relationship with her will be turbulent, and at some point you'll have to evaluate whether you want that in your life. You sound like a caring person, but I don't think you should take on so much responsibility for this woman's well-being. She said that I should just go kill myself and then blocked me. Oof. Look, when a person's life is shit show, it's usually cause they're a shit show. She thinks bad stuff just happens to her and can't take responsibility or see her own hand in it. She should have called for a different lift when she couldn't get a hold of you. Literally, nothing stopping her. This meeting was too important to risk. I know it's hard with the kids and all, but you deserve a better friend than this. Sounds like they won't be in her life much longer anyways. Don't be her scapegoat and stop wrapping yourself in and justifying her life messes. It's on her. It sounds like there is a lot more to this story. How did B's daughter die due to abuse and neglect from a friend? How did that situation get that far? How were the boys alone the second time? Doesn't it seem even a little suspicious that the apparent one time they were left without supervision and you, mean caseworker, came by and caught and confiscated them? B seems to have a habit of not being there for her children and it being everyone's fault but their own. Just observing.